In Stockholm syndrome, you take on the characteristics and the identity of your oppressor. Matter of fact, one of its characteristics is that you will violently fight anyone that tries to set you free. Patty Hearst had Stockholm syndrome. People that are kidnapped and abused. We've also seen it when it comes to women who are in abusive, relationships, and the husbands are beating them or the boyfriends are beating them. The pimp and prostitute situation. This is the Black community now of the Democratic Party.
What's going on, everyone? Talks with Kenny here today. I hope you guys are having a happy new year. I wish you all guys the best. I hope that whatever goal you guys set out for in 2023, that you know that you can get there one step at a time, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, one video at a time. Let's get into this video. Who destroyed Black America? This is a video from Larry Elder. It's been a while since I did a Larry Elder video. Let's get into it.
I mean, it's tough to pin this on anti-Black systemic white racism. I have long argued that the welfare state has incentivized women to marry the government and has incentivized men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. My guest says Democrats are holding parents and students hostage. The description of his book says, to save America and the world, conservatives must first answer this one very important question. Why do the vast majority of Christian Black Americans vote for the atheist, anti-Christian, liberal Democrat Party?
Bruh. That is true. Like, even in my own personal experience, like my aunt and my uncle, technically they're my cousins, but we have such a big age gap that I consider them my aunt and uncle. They're very religious, very Christian, and they vote Democrat. And I'm like, how are you voting Democrat? They hate Donald Trump. I don't know why. You live in Florida, but you hate Donald Trump. But hey, I digress, right? That always boggled me. And I was like, hey, like, you want your politics to represent your beliefs. This is my take. That's what I believe, right? If I believe do for self, I don't want the government to do anything for me. There's no way in hell I can vote Democrat, because that's all the Democrat solutions revolve around. They want the government to do something for you. While I'm like, hey, I could do it for myself. Just, hey, government, get out of my way. Democrats were like, no, but we're here to help. We're here to help. I'm not taking that. Right. And this is the question. Like, it seems like the Black community, they don't want to discuss these things, and they don't want to have an actual discussion, because the minute you start questioning the premise of legacy of racism, legacy of slavery, the effects of Jim Crow, the real effects of Jim Crow, they'll hit you with the
how dare you,
and they don't want to hear the end of the discussion. They'll call you names, they'll insult you, and I think that's not really a very productive conversation. But I digress. Let's get back into the video.
His book says, to control Blacks during and after the Civil Rights Movement, white Democrats organized and formed an unholy alliance with most Black preachers, Black civic organizers, and Black politicians. I call this trifecta the Iron Triangle. He says it has worked perfectly. The book traces the origins and explains the rationale behind the Black community's fatal attraction to what the book calls the oldest and most politically evil organization in history. It further explains how liberals have used this deadly infatuation to take over the Democrat Party. Please welcome the author of The Iron Triangle, Inside the Liberal Democrat Plan to Use Race to Divide Christians and America in Their Quest for Power and How We Can Defeat Them. Please welcome Vince Ellison. Vince, when I ran for governor...
Well, you love to see it. You love to see it. I think when people, like, I mean, I've been called ignorant a lot on YouTube for some reason. Like, people think I don't read my books or I don't, like, educate myself on these topics. And one of the things that I have noticed heavily is that a lot of the people that call me ignorant is almost like a pot calling the kettle black. Like, they're ignorant of the thing, because the minute I ask them a question, they can't answer it. They'll call me names. They'll call me whatever name in the book you can think of right now. Right? They'll hit you. They'll hit me with the
how dare you.
Right? And then I go, it doesn't matter how it makes you feel. And I ask the question. And the fact that they can't answer it almost seemed like the blind eating the blind in the Black community, right? The Black community are so strongly, oh, I'm so sure it's this. I'm so sure it's this. And then you ask for proof. Hey, prove me systematic racism. Show me a law. Can't answer the question. They can't do it. It's like, oh my God, no one's ever asked me that question before. To me, if you make an argument, if you make a statement, be ready to defend it. Don't sit here and assume that, oh, because I'm sharing color with you, that I'm supposed to be empathetic. This is why I say never have these people have your emotions, because they'll emotionally blackmail you into kingdom come. I'm just saying. Let's get back into it. Mr. Vince.
The most contentious, the most riotous interview I had with a bunch of black preachers. Everything was going okay, Vince, until I told him that the number one problem facing the black community was not systemic racism, not police brutality. It was the absence of fathers in the home. And then they went ballistic.
You know, Larry, that's them. I don't have to tell you. And also you should have also added that with the absence of fathers, that they are also one of the biggest problems in the black community, the black preacher.
Bro, you know how many stories there are out there about the black preacher, the black pastor having affairs with all the women in the church, getting young girls pregnant in the church. This is one of the reasons why I lost faith in the church as an institution, right? I still believe in Christian values, right? I still have a Bible here. I start to believe that the Bible should be like a personal journey at this point. Like, I think we're at a point where we no longer lead a shepherd, right? And to me, church is this institution is going to be behind this pastor, and he's telling you, oh, I know what's better for you. Listen to me. Because it almost seemed like in the black community, I only can speak in the black community, but it seems like the husband and the pastor, they fight to be like leaders of the house. Like the pastor's like, oh, I'm your leader. But technically, I think in the Bible, I forgot where, maybe someone in the comment section can remind me. In the Bible, I remember hearing it saying that the pastor and the husband, they're not like, the pastor's not over the husband. It's just like, it's almost like the pastor is an advisor. He's not really the leader. He's just more of the advisor of the flock. But I know people are going to take me out of context.
It doesn't make sense.
It don't make sense because at the end of the day, God called the husband to be the leader of the family. So how can the pastor tells the husband what to do? I don't get it, because the husband the husband's only accountable to God. Technically, all three of you guys are accountable to God. So I don't understand how the pastor is somehow supposed to be some mediator between God and you. Like, it don't make any sense, because if the pastor ain't following the principles of the Bible, then he's not a pastor in my eyes.
Nope.
But yeah, I digress. I'm rambling too long. Let's get back in the video.
I worked in a prison for 5 years, and before that, I was born on a cotton plantation in Haywood County, Tennessee. My father was a sharecropper, and he brought us out of poverty through hard work. He got involved in the insurance industry, and we lived this upper middle class life. And after I left college, I worked years, and this was during the 90s when the Clinton-Biden crime bill was locking up all these black men all over the country. And I asked the black intelligentsia, I said, man, why are all these young black men being locked up? I thought we had overcome. And of course they said evil, rich, white Republicans.
Right.
So, you know,
Oh my God, bro. Bro, I swear that's the Democrats' number one playbook. And if you're ignorant, and I'll say majority of the black community are, because the majority of the black community vote Democrat, 95%. They don't do their research about this. Public school, public education, they're funded by the Democratic Party. 94% of the teacher unions are in favor of the Democratic Party. They vote Democrat. They donate Democrat. There's no way in hell that in your history class in public school, you'll learn anything unfavorable about the Democratic Party. But you sure as hell will learn a lot about the failures of the Republican Party, though. So you create a bill, Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, last time I checked, they were Democrats. They created a bill that in the long term desperately hurt the black community. And then your civil rights leaders tell you that it's the Republicans' fault. You can't make this stuff up. Let's continue.
I resigned my post, started a nonprofit, went down into the ghetto to try to help some of these black people. And when I got down there, Larry, I saw something very interesting. I saw no evil, rich, white Republicans anywhere. You see a leprechaun before you saw one. I saw a bunch of black Democrats down there. And I saw these three entities making a lot of money off of the chaos. And they were the black preacher, the black politician, and the black civil rights organizer. And I called them the Iron Triangle. And Larry, they are.
I'm gonna call them the unholy trinity, boy. Because that's the three things that influence the black community the most. and breaking that, it really is an iron triangle, dog. Like, you ever try to bend iron? That's how it's trying to be. I remember Jesse Lee Peterson, when I first listened to him, how he was calling out Al Sharpton, I forgot his name, Jesse Jackson, I believe, and how he's saying, yo, it's a hustle. Their family's not living like how we live in. We poor, but he's rich somehow. We don't know how. Al Sharpton is doing well for himself. All the Democrats come sit with him, and that's the hustle. Hey, I'm the leader. I just tell these black people what to do. What you gonna pass? What you gonna give me so I can get them in line? This is why the Democratic Party loves unions. They love to be able to go to one person, and that one person will be able to influence a large swath of people without any effort. It's just more, I guess, time effective that way, instead of going to every individual state, every individual, and then trying to campaign and whatever. I think that's the main reason how Joe Biden won 2020. Oh, I'm gonna talk to this union, and then they're gonna go convince their people to vote for me. I don't have to do nothing. I'm just gonna sit in my basement, eat ice cream, chilling. I'm just saying, look. But I digress. Let's continue.
Are just conduits between the white liberal elites in New York and in California, and their job is to make sure that the black community vote for the Democratic Party by hook or by crook. Without 90% of the black vote, they are dead, and they know it. And they use humiliation. Mm-hmm. They use fear. Mm-hmm. They use the same tactics they use on the plantation to keep black people under control, and it's working very, very well right now.
That's the sad thing about all this, though. Like, it's crazy that it seems like people are just comfortable voting Democrat. That's one thing I noticed. Like, when people are comfortable doing a certain set of things, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort for them to break out of that comfort zone, right? Because they're like, oh, I never done this before. I feel so weird voting R. I think that's the uphill battle that a lot of black conservatives, a lot of people who are advocating for the Republican Party and the black community are going through, right? It's easier to convince black America not to vote than to vote for the opposition, right? They want to label the Republicans the opposition. And I ask them, name me a policy that the Republicans are doing that's in opposition of the black community. They'll say, oh, what about the election integrity bill in Georgia? I said, there was record turnout in Georgia with that law in place. It just kept non-Americans from voting. Just accept a premise by people on your side just because you're on their side. I don't understand that. Like, if the Republicans saying something, oh, this is going to hurt us, and I'm looking at the bill, I'm like, it ain't going to really hurt us. I don't see that in the Democratic Party. It seems like whatever the Democrats say, that's the reality. And I'm tired of this narrative control, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's what I'm saying. The Democrats have no incentive to change until the people decide, make them change, until Democratic voters force them to change by punishing them on the ballot box. And the fact that 2022 didn't go as the red wave didn't happen, the Democratic Party now thinks, oh, we're perfectly fine. Oh, we can ignore all those disapproval ratings that we were seeing throughout the year. That don't matter because the people still kept us in power for the most part. I'm just saying, politicians only care about power and incentive. But hey, I digress. Let's continue with the video.
That was arrested and put in that police band in Baltimore. He broke his neck. 6 officers were charged. 3 of the 6 officers were black. The state attorney, Vince, who brought the charges, was black. The judge before whom 2 of them tried their cases was black. City council, all Democrat, majority black. The mayor at the time was black. The number 1 and number 2 people running the police department were black. The U.S. attorney, Loretta Lynch, at the time was black, as was the president of the United States black. So you got all these people running the system, and they're talking about systemic racism. And I'm reminded of that comedian, Wanda Sykes. She said, how are you going to complain about the man when you are the man?
Ooh. That's crazy, dog. Hey, bro. I've always been saying that, man. Identity politics is CRT is the most, to me, is garbage, bro. It's like, if you believe in CRT, bruh, ain't good look for you, bruh. Like, I'll debate anyone on CRT. CRT is garbage, right? Because look at the examples. You got a city, I think Michigan is what they were talking about. All black. Chicago, I think. Mostly black. And you call them about systematic racism. That's crazy, bro. It sounds like the only thing systematic is incompetence. That's the only thing that seems to be systematic. But hey, I digress.
Larry, there it is.
Oh, and it's always by Democrats too. That's the real systematic racism. If you want to take an empirical look, like just based on evidence and looking at the environment, like it don't matter if it's a black Democrat, don't matter if it's a white Democrat. No good outcomes come for the black community, but y'all want to keep rewarding them with y'all vote. Okay. And then people want to get mad at me. Oh, we shouldn't. You shouldn't be voting for the op. The op is what? The Democratic Party. I'm voting against the op. Look at all the cities that's Democratic in blue states. Higher rate of crime, bruh. Y'all have I think blue states have the highest degree of hate crimes too. But yeah, I digress.
Is. And as I write in my book, The Iron Triangle, I try to figure this out because the evidence is right in front of us. And I decided after all my studying, it looked like this was a type of Stockholm syndrome, a cognitive dissonance. You know, in Stockholm syndrome, you take on the characteristics and the identity of your oppressor. Matter of fact, one of its characteristics is that you will violently fight anyone that tries to set you free. Patty Hearst had Stockholm syndrome. People that are kidnapped and abused. We've also seen it when it comes to women who are in abusive, relationships, and the husbands are beating them or the boyfriends are beating them. The pimp and prostitute situation. This is the black community now with the Democrats.
Yo, this man makes so many connections, and I'm like, wow. In my head is like light bulbs going off. I've seen that before. In abusive relationships, women will stay with their husbands. Like, I remember there was a story in a gas station. A guy tried to save a woman from getting beaten by her husband. The husband shot the dude. The dude died trying to protect this woman, and the woman still got into the car with the guy, and they drove off. I was like, wow, man, a good Samaritan tried to save you from your situation, and you didn't run away. You didn't do nothing. You let your husband kill them, and then you kept going with them. I'm like, wow. I said, how can women do that? And then this man made the correlation. The Democratic Party has the same type of influence over the black community. That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. This guy know his. Hey, let's continue, bro. Let me stop rambling. I'm just reacting now. This is crazy. That man preaching right now.
Party. There has never been a time in the history of this nation where the Democratic Party has not beaten, oppressed, and humiliated the black community. From slavery, from 1800 to 1860, from the Confederacy to 1860 to 1865, 100 years of Jim Crow. Man, we got pictures of them hanging black people from trees, castrating them, beating them, having picnics while they doing it. And then right after the Civil Rights Movement, and you know this, Republicans thought that because Eisenhower and Nixon had passed the 1956 Civil Rights Act and the 1960 Civil Rights Act, and that they had also bought.
People didn't know that, bro. Like, the black community don't know that. Like, majority of the votes that voted in favor of civil rights, the Civil Rights Acts, was from Republicans. And the only reason Democrats try to use their way of claiming credit is because Larry B. Johnson was the Democratic president. And he spinned it. He going back to his constituents because they were mad that he voted in favor of this, or he signed the bill into law. And that's where you get that quote, I'll have these N-words voting Democrat for the rest of their lives. That's where you get that quote from, because that's how he was able to convince the Democratic Party to like champion this as a good thing. And that's what started this switch. The parties didn't switch. Only the black vote switched. But yeah, I digress. Let's get back into the video.
The 101st Airborne down for the Little Rock 9, that they had, they were the first administration since the Civil War to really take on civil rights. You would think that when black people voted in 1960, they would vote for Nixon, not for Kennedy and Johnson, who had done nothing for civil rights. But instead, they voted for Richard Nixon. I mean, they voted for Kennedy. And I asked why. Well, my grandfather down south, when he got the right to vote, even though the Ku Klux Klan had ran him off of the cotton plantation and told him they'd kill him if he voted, Eisenhower and Nixon sent down the FBI to protect his right to vote. And my father told me he voted the straight Democrat ticket. Mm-hmm. And I always wondered why. And it had to be Stockholm syndrome. Mm-hmm. You're down south. The master is a Democrat. The white people are Democrats. Mm-hmm. And look, and if you don't believe it, look at what we were doing during the Civil Rights Movement. We were fighting, we were dying, so that we could sit beside the toilet with a white Democrat. So we could eat a hamburger with a white Democrat. so we could go to school with a white Democrat. You know, if you would fight, bleed, and die to eat a hamburger with one, when it came time to vote, you were damn sure gonna vote for him, and that's what we did. We voted for him, and we still are. Right now, the NAACP will tell you that the most important thing that a black person can do is integrate with white society. To sit beside a white man on a toilet or eat a hamburger beside him at a lunch counter. It's ridiculous. It's stalking. And as Martin Luther King Jr. said, and this is what, was interesting with him, he does the March on Washington. And I went to the Lorraine Motel in 2018 with my wife, and I saw the I Have a Dream speech looping, and
Right.
Dr. King wrote that speech.
Mm-hmm.
But the great writer Thomas Wolfe said, I see a thing 1,000 times before I see it once. And I heard Dr. King say something in that speech that I had heard 1,000 times, but this time because of all of the kneeling and the protests, I heard it differently, and I said, that's the poison pill. He said, 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, the Negro is still not free. That is a lie.
Wow.
I was born free. My freedom is an unalienable right. It is a gift from God. It is irrevocable, non-transferable, and unsellable according to John Locke. It is mine. And right now, because of that, every time you ask one of those young black men, one of those young black liberals in the streets if they're free, they're just, no, I ain't.
That's crazy. Right? Because it puts the responsibility not on you. It puts it on, the system still needs work. This is why you get this idea in the black community that, there still needs to be more progress, right? I remember I think Larry Elder brought this point up, that Obama said that the civil rights movement, they completed like 90% of the slavery, racism. They fixed 90% of it, and it's up to us to fix the little 10%. And I think now these new movements, they trying to make that 10% be 20%, right? They trying to justify, because then they realize, damn, if there's no racism, there's no hustle for us anymore. And yes, this is why the conservatives will label Al Sharpton, what's his name, Jesse Jackson, I believe his name. I always forget his name. The other one. That's why we label them race hustlers, because you keep focusing on race when race is no longer the issue anymore. It's your own community's decision making, your own community's ability to take advantage of opportunity. I mean, you can argue with me in the comment section, bro. But I mean, you can argue, but if it's just feelings based, it ain't gonna work with me. Yeah, you got to bring some facts. You got to bring some evidence. I'm bringing evidence. These guys are bringing evidence. They laying out the case perfectly. If you don't believe their interpretation of history, you do some research in history. But I know my people, and there's a stats out there that black people don't like to read. So I'm just saying. And they stats don't prove a narrative. I agree, but stats do prove a result, and it's easier to prove an action than to prove a system is out there to get us without any concrete proof of it existing in the first place. But I digress. Let's get back into the video.
Free. Now understand that your freedom is a gift that you have to accept. You just are. If I gave you a car, you shoot and you don't accept it, what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
And with that gift, of course, comes responsibility.
Yep.
The NAACP this year had their annual convention, and they said we're going to tackle 4 issues. And one of them was reproductive rights. One of them was student debt. The other was voter suppression. And the last one was police brutality.
None of the... Okay, I'm about to go on a rant now. None of those issues actually affect the black community as much as they think it does. All right, let's go with the first one. Reproductive rights. Abortion. If I go by the liberal logic that any disparities based on race is proof racism. If it proves racism, then you must accept the premise that abortion is racist, because abortion affects the black community 40% more than other communities. There's 1 million abortions that happen a year. 400,000 of them are black babies. Yeah. So the black woman is choosing to kill her own child, right? In New York, there's more babies aborted than born, right? And that's black. That's keeping your population low. Isn't that not racism? The KKK wanted you guys, they thought you guys were weeds to be exterminated, and you following right along with the playbook. Okay, that's one. He's talking about what else? Police brutality. Yo, do you know the deaths that happen with police brutality is like marginal? And a lot of that is a correlation with resisting arrest. If you don't resist arrest, you don't tend to die. That's 2 wrongs don't make a right, but shit, you can avoid escalating the situation to where someone can lose their life. I don't know, bro. Like, and in the voting suppression, I already tackled that in my earlier monologue. That you had record turnout during those voting years in 2022 in Georgia. You had a record turnout, and y'all still complaining. I forgot the last one, but let's get back into it.
Not one word about the 800-pound elephant in the room, which is the absence of fathers in the home. Not one word about the substandard schools. Nothing at all about those issues. All about what the white man is doing to us still. We, as you pointed out, Vince, have been free for a very long time. You have to exercise your responsibility. And all too often, we are simply not doing that. And there's no value in saying that. If you're a Republican, you'll be called a racist if you're white, and Uncle Tom if you're black. And no Democrat's going to say that because they want black people to be angry and focused on social justice. So they go in there like lemmings and pull that lever for the Democrat Party.
Exactly.
Well, you know, Larry, I'm a Christian, and most black people are also. We believe in heaven and we believe in hell. And I say to them, I'm a Christian and I'm an heir of Jesus Christ. How can I be oppressed when God is my Father?
Exactly.
When Jesus Christ is my Savior.
But and this is a, oh my God. I had this argument with my uncle. Oh my God. We saw something on the news about like a white dude, and he kept trying to go into somebody's house, and my uncle was like, if that was a black man, they would have shot him. I was like, I don't think so. And he's like, you don't think so? You don't think so? I'm like, no, I don't think so. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, bro, you're a Christian guy. You're all created equal under God, bro. Like you supposed to have the mindset that I'm capable as anyone to do anything. No one can do something greater than me. No one can do something lesser than me. I'm like, you're equal. There's no consistency in their logic. It's almost like they worship racism more than they worship Christianity. And I'm starting to see that in church too, that other ideologies have more influence over the church than the actual words in the Bible, right? You get gay pastors now, which is like technically you lose your qualifications of being called a Christian. You practicing something that the Bible is vehemently against. Feminism conflicts with the gender roles that the Bible instill in the church by principle, right? And then there's the verse in the Bible that you cannot serve two masters. And that's why I see a lot of these pastors, these new age pastors now are doing, especially if it's a liberal church. They're serving two masters. Oh, they want to cherry pick certain things from the Bible, and then they want to preach racism and inequality. They want to preach feminism. Like it's ridiculous, bro. Like, and they wonder why black men leave the church. Because we see the hypocrisy. We're like, yo, the Bible says this and you preaching this? I'm just saying my honest opinion about how I really think about these things. If you don't like it, hey, you can disagree with me. It's fine. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just here to give you, hey, look, this is what I think. And I know there's people like me that think the same way I'm thinking, that see it the same way I see it. But I digress. Let's get back into the video.
When he say that he who the Son has freed is free indeed. When he says, I give you peace, and yet you got black preachers out there talking about no justice, no peace. When he said, my peace, I leave with you.
Right. See,
when you look at him and you say, okay, you're a black man. That's right. You say that's white supremacy. Yeah, that's right. I said, show me a white man superior to me. We'll put that to the test.
Oh my God, yo. This is me in 20 years. I see it, dog. I see it. That's me in 20 years, dog. Because I think like that. I tell my friends all the time, oh, go get your white friends and tell them exercise white privilege over me. Let me play a game of chess with him. Make him exercise white privilege over me. This man is in my head, dog. And this is the message that black conservatives are saying. If you're a black man, black woman, you hear me for the first time, or whatever, you're hearing what I'm saying, or you're like about what I'm saying. The black conservatives' message is, I don't want the government to do nothing for me. That's as best of a message. That's how concise and succinctly. I don't know how to succinctly that I can word what conservatives stand for. That's all I'm saying.
And Vince, black people have higher self-esteem than white people do, and much higher self-esteem than Asian Americans do.
What? Hey, that's true, bro. You see I'm sorry. I don't want anyone to come for me. I know I ain't the prettiest looking guy, but you see black women, they could be big as hell, but they wearing crop tops and all that stuff, muffled top. Oh my God, I almost threw up thinking about it. Black people do have higher self-esteem. Yeah, and then at the same time, they want to be the biggest victims. It's crazy. I digress. Let's finish this. Let's wrap this video up. Very interesting video, by the way.
This last question, what do we do about this? How do we open up their eyes?
Larry, keep doing what we're doing right now. Right now, technology is finally caught up with you and I so that we can get this information to them. You watch the polls like I watch. They are starting to bleed black men. Black men are starting to listen, especially when you and I come at them at their manhood. You'll walk around here talking about white supremacy, that you scared?
Yo, hey, look, I'm gonna let this finish. This is, this video needs to go out, bro.
Ron James said he's scared. Kaepernick said he's oppressed. Al Sharpton said he's a victim. I ain't scared. I ain't oppressed. I'm not a victim. I ain't scared of a damn thing. I ain't gonna walk around my country afraid. This is my house, and I don't ask permission in my house. So when I come to them like a man, and I say, you a punk. Walk around here telling you.
Yo, hey, that's facts though. What if you go to the basketball court in the hood and you challenge some black dude's manhood? He ready to fight you, bro. He ready. He go.
How dare
You challenging me? Like, they're ready. But on this stuff, oh, I'm oppressed. I'm a victim. Oh, look at me. Oh. And to me, I'm like, what happened to that fight in the black community, though? They fight for all the wrong reasons, bro. At least when you fight, know what you're fighting about. Know what you're fighting for. I know what I'm fighting for. The government ain't gonna do nothing for you. Republicans ain't gonna do nothing for you. That's the point. I don't want them to do nothing for me. That's the point. And if they don't do nothing for me, that means I get more of my tax money back because they're not doing anything for me. I get to do more. I get to manage the resource because I believe I manage the resources better than the government manage the resources. Bruh, you know how inefficient the government is? Bruh. That's a bruh moment. Yo, government's so inefficient, bro. So ineffective. They do one thing to do a result, like what? The Inflation Reduction Act. And then inflation doesn't get reduced. But you want me to say, oh, keep giving them money when the goals of their bills don't actually come to fruition. But I'm supposed to keep giving them money? Man, get out of here. I digress. Let's continue.
You scared of white folks, scared of white men. Running around here talking about the police is chasing you. And what is your solution to the problem? You gonna give them your gun? Why don't you just be expeditious and blow your own damn brains out? It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Stand as a man. Be free. Stop acting like a slave, going to these people asking them to take care of your children and take care of you. That's how we talk to them. We talk to them as men. I am a free man. I am an heir of Jesus Christ. I'm a son of God. I cannot be a victim. I cannot be oppressed. And if anybody come and try to take anything from me or hurt me or mine, I got two things to get you off my back. Jesus and my 38. I'd advise you not to try me.
Yo, I love this man, dog. I'm gonna look him up. Vince Ellison. That's his name, guys. I'm gonna look him up, bro. This guy, yo, he been saying stuff that I've been thinking for a long time. I think he's not done yet. Let's see the rest before I give my final thoughts on the video.
Let's leave it right there. Vince Ellison, author of the book.
Yeah, that was about it. Oh my God, bro. Nothing but facts over there, bro. Cause what is this? Is a message of do for self, right? Like, imagine you saying racism is racist. These people will say racism exists, but at the same breath, they expect other races of people to do for them, and it always blows my mind. That's crazy. It doesn't make sense. It don't make sense. How you believe racism exists, but then at the same breath you expect other people to do something for you? That don't make sense. It's like saying the KKK, you expect the KKK to vote in your best interest. That's dumb. That's a big ass. Nope. Come on. And you say, oh my God, racism is a big problem, major issue in the black community. But at the same time, white people, you want to vote for a party majority white, and you expect them to do something in your best interest. That's crazy. That's crazy. Bruh. But hey, I digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you guys agree, disagree? Give me some of your thoughts in the comment section. I really will be interested in hear. And again, Happy New Year's to all you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. I know I paused it a lot. I know I talked a lot, but this is an issue very close to my heart. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe yet again. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.